Welcome to day 133 of the New Way. I'll read Matthew 16:21 through 23. From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed, and on the third day be raised to life. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "Never, Lord," he said, "this shall never happen to you." Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." And let's read Mark's version in Mark 8:31 through 33. He then began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and after 3 days rise again. He spoke plainly about this, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But when Jesus turned and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter. "Get behind me, Satan," he said. "You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." Biblical scholars tell us that this is the first time that Jesus talked with his disciples about his upcoming death. Earlier, we have seen him mention it in his teachings in a very indirect way. But this is the first time, as far as we know, that he began to instruct them about what would happen. Peter is shocked and declares that he, Peter, would not allow it to happen. Why does Jesus call Peter Satan? Jesus knew that Satan was influencing Peter's response. It is very humbling to realize that even a person as close to Jesus as Peter can be used by Satan to hurt others. But it's true. When we sin, do you think it influences other followers to sin? What about friends and those who don't yet know about Jesus? When Satan can get a follower of Jesus to throw a temper tantrum or demand their own way, he has succeeded in influencing everyone around them for evil and not for good. It is a serious matter to let Satan influence your walk. Look carefully at what Peter said and see if you can find the lies planted there by Satan. I'll read again Matthew 16:22. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "Never, Lord," he said, "this shall never happen to you." I see 2 major lies behind Peter's statement to Jesus. The first one is, "I know what is best and you don't." God doesn't know what's best. And the second lie is, "I can control what will happen." God seems to not be in control, so I'll handle this. Do you think that these 2 lies had any impact on Jesus' beliefs? Probably not, because he's solid. But they certainly didn't strengthen him or encourage him. Now, look at how Jesus reacted to Peter's words. Matthew's version says that Jesus calls Peter a stumbling block. What is a stumbling block? When we first moved into our house in California, we found a stumbling block in our backyard. There was a pathway made of large flat stones. Each stone was approximately a foot wide square and mostly flat on the top. They were spaced so that you could comfortably walk around the backyard and not step into the grass or flowers. But one of them was a stumbling block. Every time I stepped on it, it would throw me off the path and into the grass. Why? Because it was crooked on the bottom. In fact, this rock had a large triangular bottom. It looked great from the top, but it was, in fact, like a seesaw. When you stepped on it, it would tip and make you fall. Now, the definition of a stumbling block is a block or rock or stone that looks safe from the top side, but the underside makes it dangerous because it is not level. Why would Jesus call Peter a stumbling block? Jesus had just stated that he needed to go to Jerusalem to die. Did Peter's words help him to do God's will, encourage him, or make it harder for him to do it? I want my words to be encouragement for others so that they can accomplish God's will in their lives. My heart breaks when I realize that Satan has used me to discourage someone from becoming all that God has intended. In his service, Dale.